Hey, sports fans, PBNZ Sports Chaos. We're back at you. We got our football show. And by the way, in the pros anyways, I guess it's the 1.1 quarter of a season at this point in time. Now that it's a 17-game season, it will never be equivalent, nor will it be a 500 season ever again. Hey, by the way, first of all, we got the LCS starting off tonight, American League Championship Series. The two ex-cheaters, Sox and Astros, face off. You know how much I despise the Astros. They play our hometown team, the Sox. We'll talk about that momentarily. By the way, the big news of the week, not Trevor, his coach, Urban Meyer, should be thanking Kyrie Irving and John Gruden because he's now out of the news. Urban Meyer will never be in the news again thanks to what happened this week with John Gruden and Kyrie to a lesser extent. So we'll talk about that more in the future. Hey, PB, so you had the Stros go into the division series. Wrong answer. You did have you had the Stros, right answer. You also had the Rays. That's the wrong answer. I had the Yankees and the White Sox. I struck out twice, but at least I had the American League East wildcard team making it there. So I'm going to give myself half credit. What happens going forward? What do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough series for the Sox. I mean, Sox are playing well, though. They're hot. They're one of those scrappy teams I think could pull this series off. And we had to put money on the game, on the series. I'd put it on the Astros. They had a lot of firepower in that lineup. Sort of the Sox, but I think in the end, it's going to come down to pitching. It really is. And McCullers is hurt. That could hurt the Astros a little bit. I could see this one going 7 for sure. My heart's with the Red Sox. My money probably be leaning a little bit towards the Astros.
I'm with you as well. All right. On the other side, the National League, we got the Dodgers, as both of us predicted. The Braves, I think you predicted them, right?
Yeah, I had 3 out of the final 4, not just during our playoff predictions, but I had those 3 out of those 4 at the beginning of the season.
Beginning of the season, yes.
Yeah.
You were on the money, man. Good job. So are you still comfortable? Where are you at right now? Dodgers and Braves. Well, who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's almost the same thing. It's like the Dodgers are the better team, better lineup. The heart might be with the Braves, but the money's got to be with the Dodgers. I'd like to see the Braves pull it off and get there, but I think it's going to be a Dodgers-Astros World Series at this point.
I think you're right as well. Hey, by the way, fans, did you see out in the field during the celebrations, Max Scherzer took his shirt off? Boy, oh boy, if I saw Max Scherzer on the beach with my family, I would never know he was a pro athlete. That's all I'm going to say. Pitches in the MLB, they don't have to look like anything, right? All right. College football. First of all, big news now. The Giant is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Alabama, I don't know if they can come back. They lost last week to Texas A&M. Maybe they beat Georgia, but I don't even know if that gets them to the playoff at this point in time. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say if they beat Georgia later in the season, which would be the SEC championship, right?
Well, yeah.
They would have to get in at that point, especially if they're still sitting there with 1 loss. That's a no-brainer.
In theory, I would think you were right, but who knows at this point in time? By the way, there's 3 undefeated teams that are all moved up. Iowa's number 2, Cincinnati's number 3, Oklahoma, who I picked to win this whole thing, I think you did as well, they're number 4. And by the way, Oklahoma and Cincinnati have the easiest path to get there. If they run the table, they're in automatically. Iowa has to still go and face probably Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, so we'll see. But to your point,
you got some other undefeated teams like Oklahoma State's undefeated, Michigan State's undefeated out of big conferences. So if
you
those
do correct,
they're going
Michigan as well, right? Michigan
as well. I mean, those teams are going to definitely create, controversy in terms of who should get in at that point, especially if they're sitting undefeated out of a major conference at the end of the year. How can you not get that team in, right?
So that's why I think Alabama's path is kind of taken, even if they beat Georgia. By the way, if they beat Georgia, they might get in, but Georgia still probably gets in if they only have 1 loss, right?
Yeah, I would think so, especially if it's only to Alabama and they're number 1 going into that game. what are they going to drop to maybe 2, 3, 4 at worst? They should still get in.
By the way, Georgia, big win last week. They showed they have a little offense, which I didn't they have. The big game of the week, though, was my Schooners. They came back from a 21-point deficit to beat Texas in the Red River rivalry. But there's a controversy came out of that game. Our boy, Spencer Rattler, we thought he's the Heisman Trophy favorite. I still love the kid, but he got benched, and I think he's done. I think he's going to transfer and get out of Oklahoma.
Wow. That'd be a big
That's
move.
the rumor right now. Caleb Williams, I believe is the kid's name. He might be the starter, and going forward, he might not ever give it up. He was the #1 freshman coming into the country. He's a true freshman, so we'll see. All right, let's do some picks, brother. We ready to do some picks? By the way,
Sure.
if I'm not mistaken, in our foreplay as fans, we call it the college foreplay. Last week, G Money was 2-2, I was 2-2, and PB, you were 2-2, correct?
No, I was 3-1.
Who were your picks?
I was 3-1 last week. The only game I lost was Penn State. I won all the rest.
Oh, all right. So he
I was
says, I think when I go back to the records, he's 2-2. All right. We'll see what happens this week. Oklahoma State, number 12, goes to Texas. I don't think Texas recovers from that loss. They're a 5-point favorite, number 25 in the country. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, and I like the Oklahoma State with the points. So I'm going to take the 5 points with OK State. They might lose the game, but it'll be a close one. So I think they can cover the line there.
Yeah, and as you said, they're undefeated.
Mhm.
All right, Auburn, who also lost last week, they go to number 17, Arkansas, who won another nail biter, 52-51 against Ole Miss. That was a great game. Arkansas, 4.5-point favorite. Who do you like?
Yeah, again, I'm going to go with the underdog here with the points. Give me 4.5 points with Auburn.
Ooh, okay. I like Arkansas. I like Oklahoma State. I forgot to mention that before that. By the way, G Money has Texas in the other game. Good luck, G Money. He also has Arkansas. Good luck, Z, because I have Arkansas as well. All right. All right. Ole Miss goes to Tennessee. Hang on one second. Lane Kiffin went there for 1 year, spurned them left, went to, I think, USC at that point in time in 2009. Rednecks never forget. That's the one thing I know about the South. Ole Miss is a 2.5-point favorite. What happens when Lane comes down to Tennessee?
I think they cover. I got Ole Miss in this one. Cover the 2.5.
I'm with you as well. They have too good of an offense, and so does G Money. So we all get Ole Miss. All right. Number 22, North Carolina State comes to the Heights tomorrow night. Boston College in the pouring freaking rain. I'm not looking forward to sitting in those stands in the rain, but okay, it's going to happen. What do you think? They're a 3-point favorite, North Carolina State, against my Eagles.
Well, if it is going to be downpouring, that favors obviously the run game. It favors the short passing game, tight ends, so forth. So I think BC has a little bit of an edge there. They're at home. They're getting points. So I'm going to take the home favorite here with BC.
Yes, that's a good move, brother. I'm with you on that one. And unfortunately, G Money is as well. All right. NFL. Hey, by the way, we had a great game last night. Again, Thursday night has been much more exciting than I thought it would have been. Many people said that Tampa would have been won by 30. They had to eke it out at the end, 28-22. Last week, Brady, by the way, had a good game last night. But last week, he was 5 touchdowns, 400 yards, no interceptions. It's only the 5th time that's ever happened in a football game. And the other guys are all in the Hall of Fame.
And
Does
it
it
was
ever end for Brady?
I know it's the first time he's done it. So he just doesn't stop. The guy's just.
Oh my God. And the Cardinals won again. They're still undefeated. By the way, there's a big game this week. The 2 former Oklahoma Sooner quarterbacks that won a Heisman, Baker and then Kyler, face off. We'll talk about it in our picks in a moment. So that's a good weekend. And I got to talk about this. Buffalo, which I did not think would have happened, crushed Kansas City. And I said this in February, and I'll say it again. I don't think Patrick Mahomes wins another Super Bowl. At least not with Andy Reid.
Right. Yeah. They got a straight. They went all in on their offensive line because of what happened in the Super Bowl.
They had to.
They failed to care for their defense, and now their defense is obviously.
But PB, the defense has always been an afterthought. That's why they're on their second D coordinator since he's been there, right?
which is interesting because Andy Reid has Andy Reid has a defensive mindset, and to see that team the way it is defensively is just crazy to me. But
I still say, everybody says, well, Patrick Mahomes, wow, I couldn't believe he was only picked 10th. I saw a number of his games at Texas Tech. He was not a top prospect in my mind. He had an electric arm like he does now, but he was always erratic. I don't think he ever wins another title again. Sorry to say. That's my opinion.
all right, yeah.
Speaking of quarterbacks, I got to ask you this one question, PB. If I said to you a quarterback had a game last week that was 37, 40 out of 43, 85%, 442 yards, 4 TDs, what quarterback would it have been?
Well, obviously, I know from watching football that it was Lamar Jackson, but yeah, I wouldn't put him at the top of my list if it was just a random question I had to guess.
By the way, if you got 5 choices, would you ever picked him as one of them?
No, because the guy doesn't throw for over 200 yards a game. So, it's a rare feat for him.
So hang on, fans. Let's go through your qualifications first of all to analyze that. You coached where?
What's that?
Where did you coach at before this?
Where?
Where was your football pedigree? Where did you coach at?
Oh, yeah, I was not a coach.
Okay, that's fine. Not a big deal. But you played in college, right?
Are you using this to tell me how good Lamar Jackson is at quarterback?
I'm just trying to help the fans understand where you get your analytics from. So that's all. That's all. You think he doesn't? You don't think he's a good quarterback. We just want to know how you qualify that.
But you said that last week he wasn't a good. You even said, I have a text right here that says he's not a good quarterback. He's a good athlete and he's a good overall offensive player.
I said he's not a top 5 quarterback. I said he's the number 1 athlete.
Okay. So not only is he not top 5 quarterback, he's probably not a top half quarterback in the NFL.
But if he's the number 1 football player in the league, that makes up the difference, don't you think?
What's his record in the playoffs?
Right now, I don't know. Is it 2-2?
I think it's like 1-3 or 1-4.
Oh, hang on. I got a little DYK for you. 2 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL before the age of 25 had 34 wins. They're number 1 in the rankings. What are those 2 quarterbacks?
You're probably going to tell me that Lamar Jackson is one of them, but I don't care.
And Dan Marino!
I'm telling you, fans don't. If you think Baltimore has a chance at doing anything in the playoffs this year, you're crazy. There's no way. I'll tell you right now, there's 4 or 5 teams better than them in the NFL. I mean, in the AFC.
Good segue. So give us, PB, your A-list, the top 5 teams in the NFL. See how I set that up? I should be a producer.
Oh, you are, right? In a way.
Yes.
So let's go. We got my
top 5.
My top 5 teams in the NFL as it stands today. Number 5.
Yes.
Number 5.
It's fluid, as Stephen A. Smith says. It's fluid.
My number 5 is the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
The reason is they've won 4 straight. They lost 1 game this year by 2 points to Tampa Bay on opening night, right? So they almost won that game. They'd be undefeated otherwise. I like what they're doing offensively. Defensively, their pass defenses, their run defenses are okay. Their pass defense is a little shaky. We'll see how that pans out. But as of today, they're number 5.
All right.
Number 4, Arizona Cardinals.
Ooh, all right. Undefeated. They're only number 4.
They're undefeated, but I haven't 4. I mean, they won at home against Minnesota by 1 point.
They missed field goal.
You're right. They could have lost. They only allowed, they only scored, I should say, 17 points against the 49ers. And a couple of their wins were the Jaguars and the Titans, 2 teams that are struggling for all intents and purposes. So that's why we have them at 4 right now. Obviously, big game on the road in Cleveland this week could change that, but right now they're sitting at 4. My number 3 team is the Rams. Rams are 4-1. I still think They're a dominant team. If they had won that game against the Cardinals, I'd probably have them number 1 overall, but I have to put them at number 3 because of that loss, even though I still think they're better than the Cardinals. You put those 2 teams on the field in 10 games, the Rams are probably going to win 6 or 7 of them. They just happen to lose that one. So
Good point. Yep.
Number 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The only reason why I don't have them number 1 is because of their struggles on defense. But with Tom Brady as the quarterback, they can go out and beat any team in the league right now. And I think come playoff time, they're going to be unstoppable. But as of today, I have them number 2, which leaves me with the very obvious number 1, which is the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills are just their point differential right now is plus 108 after 5 weeks, which is absolutely ridiculous. They're doing it all offensively, defensively. I mean, the only weakness on that team, you can make an argument, is their run game, probably, but they don't even need to run the ball. So that's my top 5. I know I left the Chargers and the Ravens, 2 4-1 teams, out of that equation. I would probably replace the Cowboys with the winner of that Chargers-Ravens game this week if the Cowboys don't blow out the Patriots. If it's a close game or the Patriots win that game, the Cowboys fall out, the Chargers-Ravens winner would go into that. And then the other team you got to consider is Green Bay, but I got to see a little bit more out of Green Bay right now. They got blown out that first week, but they really haven't done much in terms of beating good opponents since then. I wouldn't call this road game against Chicago a real challenging opponent. So I don't think they can get into my top 5 this week. But those are my teams.
I'm with you, except I have the Chargers ahead of the Cowboys. I know the Cowboys beat them, and I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm not sold on them yet. So I'm with you. Like it.
Oh, so you have the same exact, you have the Bills, Bucks, Rams, Cards, and Chargers?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
In the same order as me too?
Pretty much. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
I'm with you, brother.
crazy.
I'm with you. All right. Let me ask you a question before we get into our picks. Who are the biggest 5 on team or player? What's your 5 disappointments this year in the NFL?
But I'm going to start at number 5 with Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook was hyped as probably should be right up there with Christian McCaffrey, and Derrick Henry is probably the top 2 or 3 backs in the entire NFL.
Good point.
And then when he's on the field, he doesn't play well, but he just can't stay healthy enough to play. He's listed as playing for this weekend, which is a good sign, but we'll see how many touches he gets and what kind of impact he can have on that game that they have to play in Carolina, where Christian McCaffrey on the other side of the ball will not be playing. So that's number 5 for me. Number 4 is the Indianapolis Colts football team. That 1-4 start is lame. Their schedule has not been super, super difficult. They had a nice lead against Baltimore this past weekend and blew that. They've seen them be blown.
But PB, I will argue that we talked about this during our divisional preview show, that they could be 0-5. So 1-4 to me is a step up.
Right. Number 3 for me is the Kansas City Chiefs defense. And the reason why I don't have at the top of the list is because it's not really necessarily a disappointment, because I didn't go into the season with expectations right? I mean, I didn't go into the season with expectations that Kansas City was going to have the stellar defense. But I thought,
no one did. No.
But I thought they could hold their own. I thought they could stay middle of the pack, maybe, in the 15 to 20 range or something like that.
Right.
But right now, they're allowing the most points in the NFL, most points per game, 32.6 points per game allowed is ridiculous. I think they're second most yards allowed, only behind Seattle, which you could put on that disappointment list as well.
Yeah.
And I think they're third against the run and third against the pass, third worst against the run and third worst against the pass. So every aspect of their defense is horrible. They're going up against the Washington team this week, who's, doesn't have the best off. Their defense is horrible too. This game could be an absolute shootout, but Washington's not a powerhouse on offense either. But if Washington goes out and puts up high 20s, low 30s against Kansas City, man, this team is in trouble. They're in trouble.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And my number 2 and number 1 are both players. Number 2 is Allen Robinson. I granted the Bears haven't really figured out their whole quarterback situation. You're switching from Dalton to Fields, and that can make it tough. But right now, he's the number 86 receiver in the league in receiving yards. Number 86. I mean, that if you take the top 3 receivers on every team times 32 teams, that puts you at 96. So he's like barely a wide receiver 3 in the NFL. Almost a wide receiver 4, right? And here's a guy who was in talent-wise and where people were expecting him should be a top 10 or top 15 receiver in the league. So that's a huge disappointment to me.
You know what? I hear you on that, and that's why I didn't even consider him for my picks, because the quarterback situation. They had no idea who the quarterback was. I still don't believe Fields. I know he won the game. He's a legitimate NFL quarterback, so I can't hold that against him.
All right.
The guy, if I was to give a wide receiver, it's OBJ.
Yeah, I just didn't have a lot of expectations for him going in, so that's why it's not a disappointment to me. But then my number 1 overall is Saquon Barkley. I know he's coming off the injury and didn't play at all last year or got hurt in the first game or whatever it was. But high expectations for him too coming into this year, and really thought the Giants needed that to try and contend in that division.
True.
I think so far through 5 games, he has 190 something rushing yards. So very important. He might not even play this week. I don't think he's going to play this week. So not only is he doing horrible, but he's also getting re-injured and probably, going to fall further down the rankings when he doesn't play this week.
By the way, I'll just add, we talk about Ohio State quarterbacks sucking. Penn State running backs do not have a good history. Kajana Carter, you can go down the list. Not a very good history in the NFL. So, all right, let's get on to picks. You know what? I'm with you for the most part. The only other thing I would have added Pittsburgh. I thought they would be who knows? They still might be all right. We'll see. By the way, we're going to pick them in a minute. Hey, here we go. Last week, what was you? You were what? 3-3?
Yeah, I ended up 3-3.
G Money and me were 4-2. I don't know how G Money managed that, but he was. All right. Minnesota and Carolina. G Money, by the way, has Carolina. Minnesota, your pick to win the NFC North, really needs this game. What do you think?
Yeah, and for that reason, I like them. And like I said, they've played some close games. They went on the road and lost by 1 point to Arizona. There's no Christian McCaffrey playing for Carolina. I think that's big. So I think the Vikings can go there and win.
Brother, I got you. I'm not believing the Carolina dream right now. So I get you on Minnesota as well. So me too. Cards go to Cleveland. Baker is playing his understudy, Kyler Murray, who may be the MVP at this point in time. Yeah. G Money has the Browns. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, well, I love Arizona and what they're doing. Obviously, I just ranked them number 4, and I also like, Kyler Murray much better than Baker Mayfield. But I like Cleveland's ability to, run the football, keep Kyler Murray off the field. And it's at Cleveland. Arizona's traveling across the country. All that stuff comes into play. Colder climate from the warmer climate. I'm not sure what the temperature is going to be in Cleveland. It's not too cold yet, but I just think Cleveland at home is going to hand Arizona their first loss. They've had plenty of chances to lose this year. They've been pulling it off. This is the game they lose. So I'm taking Cleveland.
FYI, big news this morning we heard. Philadelphia trades Zach Ertz to the Cardinals. He won't be eligible to play in this game. Huge move for the Cardinals. But I'm with you. I think Cleveland wins this game, but the Cardinals just got a huge asset. Don't you agree?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Max Williams went on injury reserve out for the year. So they need some help there at tight end. They went out and got it.
Wow. All right. Chargers go to Baltimore. I believe it's the battle of the 2 best young quarterbacks in the league right now. What do you think? It's a 1 o'clock game, so Chargers are going to be playing at 10 a.m. their time.
Yeah, Justin Herbert clearly is a really, really good quarterback. And, of course, I'll take it to the bank that he's 10 times the quarterback Lamar Jackson is. You know how I feel about Lamar Jackson, the whole Baltimore Ravens franchise. But I'll tell you, this kid, I think back to even 2 years ago when you and I predicted the draft, and I had to make the number 5 pick with the Dolphins, and I took Herbert and not Tua. I'm saying the Dolphins should have taken Herbert. Dolphins should have taken Herbert, and they went in all. And I had a feeling they were going to take Tua, and they did. And then, of course, it fell right on the Chargers' lap to take Herbert. This kid's the real deal. I mean, I think he's kind of like Josh Allen in a way. I think you could make a case that in the next 2 to 3 years, he is going to be the best quarterback in the AFC, possibly in the league. Baltimore, despite their 4-run record, think about what happened with this team. They lost to Las Vegas, which is a team that is obviously in shambles now. But that team,
now, yes, but they have some talent.
They're fake. They were a fake team in my mind. They're a fake team in my mind. They beat Kansas City by 1 point. They beat the Lions by 2 points on a 66-yard field goal that should have never happened on a play following a 4th and 20 something that they made a completion on. So, and the Lions are an 0-5 team. They beat Denver, who, Denver started hot with 3-0, but we know Denver is what they are. They're not going to win 500 probably. And then last week they should have lost to Indy. Grant, I'll give them all the credit in the world for that comeback, but they haven't played anybody. They played Kansas City, and everyone's not even putting Kansas City in a good category this year. So they haven't played anybody. They're going to play the Chargers this week, and they're going to get their asses kicked. This is a Chargers victory all the way.
By the way, G-Money has Baltimore. I will say this right now, the best player, maybe not the best quarterback, as we said earlier, but the best player in the league is Lamar. And until he's hurt and can't play, I'm picking Lamar. So I got Lamar on this one. And the Baltimore Ravens.
All right.
Seattle goes to Pittsburgh. Now, up until last week, this would have been a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I know.
Seattle has a backup quarterback. By the way, I will say this, when Geno Smith came out of school back in 2014, maybe I think it was, I thought he threw the best ball that I ever saw in my life. He throws unbelievable. He reminds me a lot of Warren Moon. So he starts for Seattle, but they're going to Pittsburgh. They're playing Pittsburgh's time. I think it's a 1 o'clock game, if I'm not mistaken. What do you think?
Yeah, so you always got to take that into account too, right? Traveling across the time zones and all of that.
You do.
Going from the West to East Coast. Without Russell Wilson, who's obviously, is this the first game he's missed in like?
Yes, because he got hurt on the Monday night.
And you know what? I know there's some good talent there, wide receiver with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and Geno Smith can certainly get them the ball. He showed us that last week.
He can spin it.
But this is Pittsburgh's, this is a window of opportunity for them. Seattle has the worst pass defense in the league. Even though Juju's out for Pittsburgh, you do have the likes of Deontay Johnson, and you also have Chase Claypool, two guys.
My man Chase, my second wide receiver.
Yeah, I think both of those guys are going to have huge games against the Seattle pass defense. And Najee Harris, run the ball out of the backfield. I like Pittsburgh in this game. I really do.
I'm with you. I got Pittsburgh as well. I know G-Money has Seattle, but you and me are right on this, I think. All right. Buffalo, the best team we believe in the NFL, goes to Tennessee. Tennessee is a real heckle and jive team to me. They should be better than they are, but they haven't shown it. What do you think? Yeah,
I think Buffalo stops them. I'm looking for a very average at best or below average game out of Derrick Henry in this one. I think Buffalo lights them up.
I'm with you, PB. I'm taking Buffalo. G-Money did as well, but this is where Mike Vrabel scares me, because when you think he can't do it, he finds a way to motivate his team. But I'm still sticking with Buffalo. All right, the big one in Foxborough, Massachusetts at 4:25. The Dallas Cowboys come to play the New England Patriots, my two favorite teams in the league. What do you think? G-Money has to pass, by the way.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the Patriots are winless at home. They're 0-3. They haven't won a game at home yet. Dallas, it just has so much firepower. It's going to be hard for them to stop the Cowboys. Now, they could pull off, defensive performance like they did against Tampa Bay, where they held Tom Brady down. They held, they didn't score as many points as anybody thought they could.
Right.
Alice, but Ezekiel Elliott is a heck of a lot better than Leonard Fournette, right? And Ronald Jones. So you got a really dynamic runner there. And you got guys like CeeDee Lamb. You got Amari Cooper. Schultz is having a hell of a year at tight end. I can't see the Patriots stopping this team. So I got Dallas putting up high 20s, low 30s.
Ooh, wow. All right.
And
425 game, 425 games. So it won't be a time issue. You know
Right.
what, PB?
But the question is, I mean, I got Dallas putting up high 20s, low 30s. How many points can the Patriots realistically score against this team? Now, we know their weaknesses in the pass defense, but that's not the Patriots' strength. The Patriots' strength is the run game, and
Right.
Dallas is good against the run. So I don't see the Patriots getting more than, high teens, low 20s in this. So I got Dallas winning this game by about 10.
Whoa. All right, here we go. Like Coach Corso, I'm unveiling Cowboys as well. I'm with you. G Money, you missed up, buddy. All right, we both got the boys. Nice. Good show, brother. We'll talk to you soon, fans. Take care.